Hey everyone. Good morning. Pastor Dan here. I'm the associate pastor at Cornerbrook Baptist Church, and really glad that you're joining us online this morning. We got a little bit of a different morning because the Civic Center, where we have been meeting for the past few months, is there's a hockey tournament and is quite loud. We've decided to do something just a little bit different for church. We've decided to take church outside of the Civic Center. We're going to be meeting in a few different groups around town today. It was a bit of a last minute decision, but I think it's going to be good. There's some of you some of you who are meeting online, and that's why I'm doing this short devotional, putting it up on Facebook and YouTube. We've also got a group that are hiking the tablelands in Gross Morin. So Robert Hengeveld is leading that group. We've also got another group meeting at the Majestic Lawn on West Street. Another group that's meeting at Gordon Laura's back patio, 101 West Valley Road. And we've got a group that's meeting up at the atrium at the college, just a point of connection for our college students. And we have this online group. So I think it's going to be a good morning. We're not only are we making the best of what we have this morning, we're going to get out and enjoy the sunshine, and we're going to enjoy God's creation. So I want to thank you for joining us this morning. We're really excited about what God's going to do over the next few months in our during this upcoming ministry season. We've got we're putting some plans in place. We got some great things that God willing are going to happen, and we want to see Cornerbrook Baptist continue to grow. We want to see that momentum that we've had over the past few years continue to build. So thanks for being with us this morning. We're going to look very briefly. We're going to have a meditation on Psalm 104. Psalm 104 talks about the creation of God. And so I want to start reading at verse 14 for you. It says, "He makes grass grow for the cattle and plants for people to cultivate, bringing forth food from the earth, wine that gladdens human hearts, oil to make their faces shine, and bread that sustains their hearts. The trees of the Lord are well watered, the cedars of Lebanon that he planted. There the birds make their nests, the stork has its home in its junipers. The high mountains belong to the wild goats, the crags are a refuge for the hyrax. He made the moon to mark the season, and the sun knows when to go down. You bring darkness, it becomes night. All the beasts of the forest prowl. The lions roar for their prey and seek their food from God. The sun rises and they steal away. They return and lie down in their dens. Then people go out to their work, to their labor until evening. How many are your works, Lord? In wisdom you made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. There is the sea, vast and spacious, teeming with creatures beyond number, living things both large and small. There the ships go to and fro, and Leviathan, which you formed to frolic there. All creatures look to you to give them their food at the proper time. When you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are satisfied with good things." So we've been studying Psalms over the past few months, and we've learned that essentially Psalms is a book of poems. It's a book of songs that are designed to draw the listener into worship to God. These are songs that would essentially be sung in a Jewish worship service. And Psalm 104 is one of those psalms that is very much designed to really draw the worshiper into the presence of God, to really get their heart into a state of worship. So we look at this, and we look at Psalm 104. The way that the author does it, it's quite beautiful, actually. What he does, he turns the listener's attention to the natural world, and he highlights the very first thing that he talks about, or I guess the level that he talks about is on a universal level. So he talks about the universe and how immense that is. And so, like for instance, verse 19 that we just read, he said, he made the moon to mark the season, and the sun knows when to go down. He also speaks of the wonders of the earth itself and the vast array of creatures that inhabit it. So verse 25, he says, there is the sea vast and spacious. So talking about the features of the earth itself, but then he goes on to say, teeming with creatures beyond number, living things both large and small. So the first thing that the author is doing here is drawing our attention to how beautiful the earth is around us. When you go outside, now a lot of our groups are going to be outdoors today, and so we want to highlight, we want to be able to look around and see the majesty of God's creation. And we want that to inspire us to worship this morning. Just simply looking at creation draws us closer to God. And Scripture says that the heavens declare the glory of the Lord. So that's really what we want this morning. So the author draws our attention to how beautiful the natural world is. Excuse me. But just as every painting, every masterpiece carries the signature of the Creator, the earth also carries the signature of its Creator, of its master artist. Verse 24 says, how many are your works, Lord? In wisdom you made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. The diversity and skillful craftsmanship that's evident in the natural world can only be credited in the mind of the psalmist to the God of Israel. Now, not only does he draw our attention to the natural world, and not only does he give credit to God as the creator, but he also goes on even further. So instead of just naming God as the creator, he also boldly proclaims that God is the one who continues to sustain and care for his creation. So for instance, in verse 14, he says, he makes grass grow for the cattle and plants for people to cultivate, bringing forth food from the earth, wine that gladdens human hearts, oil to make their faces shine, and bread that sustains their hearts. Also in verse 27, he says, look, he says, all creatures look to you to give them their food at the proper time. See, God didn't just create a masterpiece to be hung on a wall and admired. He is actively involved in the ongoing sustaining of that creation. So the inner workings of what he has created, God is still actively involved in caring for his creation. And he is creator and he is sustainer. So this morning, as we reflect on the beauty of the world around us, I want us to remember that God is its creator and its sustainer. Like the psalmist, we can proclaim that how many are your works, O Lord? In wisdom you made them all. Now I want to give you an opportunity, whether you're watching this with a group or watching it by yourself. I want to give you an opportunity this morning to just to think about some things, maybe discuss some things with the people that are there with you. But I want to ask you this. If God is creator and sustainer of all things, then what implications does that have for us as his children? The second thing I want to ask you is, if you're outside right now, or maybe you want to pause this and go outside, what I'd like for you to do is take a couple minutes and just find, this is going to sound weird, but I'd like for you to find some green things. Now, you'll find as you start to pick up as many different shades of green as you can. So you'll pick up maybe a blade of grass or a leaf and all these things that what you'll find is that there is an unbelievable amount of green, different shades of green. And I want you to think about this, that with all these variations on just simply the color green, what does this say about God's artistry and attention to detail in his creation? What does that say about who God is? And I mean, he could have just made green, but he made an infinite amount of different shades of green. So what does that say about God's artistry and his attention to detail? And the third thing I want to ask you is this: how has the natural world inspired you to worship God? So anyway, that's just a little devotional this morning, a little meditation on the book of Psalms. Again, we couldn't be together this week in a large group. I hope that you have a chance to connect with someone today. I hope that you have a chance to make it out to our groups. But if not, just know that we're praying for you. We love you this morning. We'll be back at the Civic Center next week. Robert Hengeveld will be speaking. And over this next week, just remember Pastor Cal in prayer. He injured his leg, and so he's having some mobility issues and couldn't make it this week to preach anyway if we had church. So just remember him in prayer. And remember to check on some of the people that from our church or your neighbors that might need a friendly face or a smile today. All right. God bless. Have a great morning, everyone.